And it starts with cabbage. Ooh, you say, cabbage, not one of my favorites. Well, look at how beautiful this is. And when you cut it up for this dish, you just want to cut it up thinly, because you're going to be cooking this down with some bacon just for a few minutes, just to soften it. So you get your cabbage just like that. And then you put it in a pot with some bacon, a couple strips of bacon, or you could use pancetta. Pancetta is unsmoked Italian bacon, and all I did was dice that up. And if you come over here, I'll show you what I did. In this pot, we have that cabbage. Let me show you. Here it is, just wilted down with the bacon and a little bit of water. About 2 tablespoons of water went in the pot with the cabbage and the bacon uncooked, and we just sweated it down. So now it's ready for the next thing. So I'm just going to leave it there. I think you get the idea about cabbage. So this recipe, which is called zuppa di Valpelline, is kind of a misnomer for a recipe, because it's really not a soup. It's a casserole. It's soupy, but it's thick enough to eat with a fork and a knife. And that's because it starts with a lot of bread. So you need a loaf of good, hearty, peasant-type bread. In the north of Italy, they like to use rye bread. So this is rye bread, slices of rye bread that we've just sliced up thinly, put on a baking sheet, and we baked the slices until they were just somewhat toasted. That's important. So now that you know that, what do we do with the bread? Well, we put it in a casserole dish, a deep casserole dish like this. So I made a layer of bread in the base. And now we're going to build the casserole with cheese and herbs and butter and some broth. And we're going to be using for this, since this is coming from the Val d'Aosta, we're going to be using Fontina cheese, which is a nice melting cheese, a semi-soft cow's milk cheese. And with it, to flavor it, some marjoram. So here we have some fresh marjoram. So here is a layer of bread in the base of our casserole. And now what we want to do is take some of this cabbage and put it right over the bread. I know what you're saying. This looks really strange, but you know what? This is really delicious. So a layer of the cabbage, and then you want to take some of that marjoram, sprinkle it over the top. Give this a little bit of salt and pepper, and some of that cheese. You sprinkle a layer of cheese over this. This is a great dish for company, and it's a wonderful winter dish. It just has that hearty taste about it. So here's the rest of our bread, and then you continue making another layer of bread. And you say, now how does this arrive at being called a soup? Well, we're going to be adding some broth to this. So after you get your second layer of bread in, and you know, you can just piece the bread in little pieces, extra pieces that you have. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You do the next layer of cabbage over the bread. Then you do more cheese. And you keep making layers like this. And here's more of that marjoram. And now another layer of bread. You want to end with the cheese. And I think I'm going to be able to do that right there. Okay, then you end with some cheese over the top. Isn't this beautiful? And you want butter, so you want to put some butter dotted over the top. And here you can be generous, or you can take it easy on the butter, so maybe a couple tablespoons just over the top to give it some added richness. That's really soft butter today. And the last thing we have to do is put some broth on this. Let me get all this out of the way. And here you can either use homemade beef broth that you have, or you could use a low sodium beef broth that you bought in the store. So you take the beef broth and you pour it right along the sides. This is why you have to use a deep, deep casserole. So you get all of that broth in until it comes to the top. And of course, as this bakes, the dry bread is going to absorb all of this liquid, and you're going to be able to eat this with a spoon. It's a very unusual casserole, and that's why I like it. Plus, it uses a very good vegetable for you. So there is the beef broth. Your oven is on at 350 degrees. You're going to bake this covered for about 25 minutes. And then you want to take the cover off so that the cheese can get nice and crusty. Gorgeous, isn't it? I can't wait to eat that. So, there you have it.